What kind of challenges is not just your industry, but the food industry facing as technology transforms it?
So that's a great question, because the industry is a relatively conservative industry. This is not the high-tech industry that changes, from year to year, and you have a new iPhone coming out once a year. This is an industry that has ways of working, including the date code system that exists from the date I was born, and certainly when you were born, and we're used to it. Yet it doesn't give almost any valuable information to the consumer, because the consumer has no idea where the product was actually at. And small variations of temperature over time change dramatically the date code system. So I would say at my home, when my daughters, they look at the cheese, they look at the date. If the date is over, they're going to throw it away without even opening the package. And that decision is a decision that is not based on any information whatsoever, except what's engraved in their minds. And these systems are also built on relatively low margins and huge volumes. So that brings an industry to become a relatively conservative industry that doesn't embrace change very, very quickly. And therefore, our penetration into the market is in gradual steps, where there is a value to the business that we're working with, whether it's an internally a value for the restaurant chain, or whether it's facing the consumer from a certain point, whether after they buy it at home or when they buy it in the deli. So those are the easier points to penetrate initially, and that's where we're going to. But we're also at the same time selling this types of indicators, or introducing these types of indicators directly to the consumer, so the consumer can buy it and have a choice to monitor his own products at home in a way that would get them accustomed to using smart tags like this and create a pull from the market.
I love the example about your daughter. I think a lot of us can relate to doing something very similar. How can technology help us be more healthy, consume better food, and have better lives?
That's a great question, and obviously there are many technologies that can help in that arena. I understand, or better understand, what our space can do. And if you look at the example of how a date code is set today, for a product that is a refrigerator for that matter, the producer takes the responsibility and says, okay, let's assume that the average temperature for the shelf life of the product is 45F. And we know that in our lab, the product is good for 10 days, so now we're going to give it a shelf life of 7 days to be on the safe side. 99% of people do not have a 45F exact chill chain. They have a 46 or a 50 or a 40. The distribution is all over the place. As you know, our refrigerators are all over the place. The refrigerators in the supermarkets are all over the place. So what happens is that instead of basically alarming the person not to eat a product, even before the date code, if the temperature, the average temperature, because it was left outside in the sun in the truck, or he left it in his car, alarm before the use by date, he doesn't have that alarm. So he would consume the product, although it's not considered as its best quality. At the same time, many of us have a good chill chain, and we'll be throwing away a product that should last longer. So optimizing the shelf life, and this optimizes the shelf life of every unit that you buy, and that's why the cost has to be very low, allows you to optimize your shelf life, optimize your refrigerator and everything that you have in there, which can bring a lot of savings, eating better products, and a big benefit to the system as a whole, because you're wasting less food. You don't have to bury that food. You don't have to burn that food. You don't have to move it in trucks, et cetera, et cetera.